everyone. We thank you all so much for being here and for taking your time. I know you're all busy. I know you're getting weary because it's the last leg of the campaign trail, but you're almost at the finish line. So thank you for your time. We appreciate you being here. My name is Lori Steiger, and I'm the president of the Woodbury Area Chamber of Commerce. We are so grateful to the Washington County, South Washington County Telecommunications for broadcasting this for us, and for the city of Woodbury for partnering with us and allowing us to use the chambers. I'm going to introduce our moderator for the day, Mark Young, who is the chair of our Government Affairs Committee. Mark?
Thank you, Lori. My name is Mark Young. I'm with Crossroads Properties. I'm a former Woodbury Chamber board member and current chair of the Government Affairs Committee. It's my pleasure to be your moderator today. I'd like to welcome the following. As far as Amanda Hemington-Yeager, Linda G., and Bob Lawrence. Thank you all for coming out today. Our guidelines and format for the candidate forum are as follows. So the Woodbury Area Chamber of Commerce provides a platform to allow candidates to share their positions and viewpoints. The chamber is a neutral party in these forums and does not endorse any specific candidate. Due to COVID-19 restrictions, this event is closed to attendees, but it's being filmed by South Washington County Telecommunications. A link to the recorded session will be on the chamber website, and there is no fee to view the forum. Per social distancing protocol, the 8 candidates for city council have been divided into 2 groups. The first group is a group of 4, and this group is a group of 3. They'll have the opportunity to participate one at a time. Once the group has concluded, a short break will occur and will allow for sanitizing each station, and the next group of candidates will be situated. Questions were generated by the Woodbury Government Affairs Committee as well as submitted by the members at large. Candidates will have up to 2 minutes for opening statements and the same time allotment for closing statements today. Candidates will be provided with the same question to answer and will alternate who answers the question first. They will be given up to 2 minutes to respond to each question. A timekeeper will raise her hand when they've got 30 seconds remaining. Candidates do not need to use the full time to answer the questions and will be stopped when time is reached. The candidates receive these questions 30 minutes prior to the start of our forum. So to begin with opening statements, we'll begin with Amanda.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having us today. My name is Amanda Hemington-Yeager, and I'm running for one of the 2 seats on Woodbury City Council. I have a bachelor's and a master's degree in genetics, as well as a master's degree from the Humphrey School of Public Affairs. And this has given me an appreciation and understanding of the technical side of things, as well as the policy side of issues. I also have experience in the public and private sector, and I'm also the daughter and granddaughter of small business owners. As a state employee, I'm well aware of budget accountability and transparency, and I completely understand the importance of supporting and collaborating with our local small businesses, especially during these unprecedented times of COVID-19. Currently, I'm a legislative analyst, and I also have experience on our Government Relations Committee, Political Council, and Board of Directors for my union, the Minnesota Association of Professional Employees. These opportunities have given me lots of lobbying experience and a network of connections for the ability to effectively advocate. I am running to ensure the health and sustainability of our water, to connect and maintain our parks and trails, and to truly represent and advocate for you. I want to listen to understand your perspective, and it's because it's not my agenda, it's a citizen's agenda. So thank you.
Thank you, Amanda. Linda.
Yes, hello, thank you for having us here. My name is Linda G., and I'm 56 years old. I'm Chinese American ethnicity. My father was born into Japanese-occupied China, and he later left the country and went to Ohio State, where he met my mother. And so I grew up in upstate New York in an IBM family. My father was an IBM engineer. And so I'm very familiar with what that is like to be, the child of a dad who works for a big company. Right now, I went to the UC Santa Barbara and I got a mechanical engineering degree. And for several years, I worked for the Navy Facilities Engineering Command, and I was in the environmental programs. And so we had experience with hiring contractors for environmental cleanups. Later on, I went to law school, and that was UC Davis School of Law. And I took the patent bar and I passed the patent bar. And after that, I just did patent prosecution for several years. And I was working in speech recognition and mechanical assemblies. I have 2 children. I'm married. My husband is also from mainland China, and he came out from China as a graduate student, and then he got a PhD in physics. The reason why I'm running for Woodbury City Council is because I'm very concerned about the water situation, and I was also very concerned about the HOA. Excuse me? I was concerned about the HOA management companies, and I was also concerned about the social unrest that we've been having.
Thank
And
you,
I
Linda.
just thought I could be a good bridge person with this.
Thank you, Linda. Bob?
Well, thank you to the Woodbury Chamber for hosting this. My name is Bob Lawrence, and I'm running for Woodbury City Council. I was reminded today that we spend a significant amount of time deciding who we are electing on a national level, and almost no time learning about our candidates at the local elections. The elections that will have a much greater impact on our daily lives. As a voter, I want to know about the person I'm voting for, their experience, and the content of their character. There certainly are particular issues that a candidate's stance is good to know, but the challenges that we will face in a year most likely are not even on our radar right now. For example, a year ago, if someone had asked how we should handle a global pandemic, I'm quite sure there would have been a blank stares from the entire room. So I want to share with the residents of Woodbury who Bob Lawrence is. I have lived in this great city for 15 years. My wife Stacy and I celebrated our 20th anniversary last December. We went to high school together, we worked together, and we have raised 2 amazing children together. Although she will take most of the credit for our kids, and rightly so. I grew up in Oakdale, so other than an 8-year stint in Milwaukee when I was at Marquette, I have lived in this area my entire life. I was a combat medic in the Army Reserve. I owned and grew a plumbing and heating company for 12 years, and now I own an insurance agency. I've worked with the Boy Scouts. I spent 10 years in the leadership and coaching in the Woodbury Athletic Association. I revived and chaired Grand Old Day in St. Paul in 2019 and was the president of the Grand Avenue Business Association up until this June. I have a vast amount of experience working with varied people in my business and in my volunteering. I have created, examined, and held the budgets. I have worked with people that held an opposite view and been able to come to a compromise. I have been faced with economic challenges and found a path to success. I have fired employees, but have given many more a second chance. I do not take lightly the responsibility to represent all the people of Woodbury, and I will bring my experience and wisdom to the Woodbury City Council as a servant leader. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. We'll begin our question and answer portion of the forum here, and we'll begin with Linda. Linda, what would be your top 3 priorities during your term should you be elected?
Thank you for the question. My top 3 priorities would be the groundwater situation that we're facing, HOA management companies, and law enforcement. Now, I think one of the issues that we have right now that everybody has been talking about is the groundwater pollution and the 3M settlement. And I just really am concerned right now about the process that's been used for the 3M settlement. And I was watching it, and it didn't seem like they were really involving the private sector very much. And I was very concerned about it being government-controlled. And I wanted it to be opened up to the private sector more. Also, I was concerned about the amount of water that we had also. With HOA management companies, I have been aware of embezzlement of HOAs by HOA management companies, and I'm very concerned that we do need some kind of accountability system to be set up in the city of Woodbury for HOA management companies that are operating in Woodbury. And third, I was very concerned about police, law enforcement, especially with the social unrest that we have going on right now. And one of the things that I was proposing and thinking about was the ticket money that we collect, that there's a conflict of interest in the police getting the ticket money and also writing the tickets. And I would like to be able to use the ticket money and donate it back to the community. In my mind, there's no reason why the ticket money should go for police equipment and why that is a better use of ticket money than playground equipment. So that's my idea right now, to help the community and community trust is to use the ticket money and give it back to the community.
Thank Thank you, Linda. Bob?
Thank you. So my first priority is actually going to be to work with the police department and increase the amount of training that they have. I'm not looking to reduce budget for the police department. I would like to see an increased budget and make sure that we have the proper number of people and that we have continuing training. Most of us spend the majority of our time playing the game and versus practicing. And if you look at a professional football team, they spend 90% of their time practicing and 10% time playing, and we need to help our police by being better trained. The second thing that I want to look at is we talk about diversity and trying to help having better diversity within our city as far as inclusion. And I think the city needs to set an example by creating diversity in our own workforce, both in the police department as well as city government. And instead of mandating to other people on what they should do, let's be the one that sets the example. I know that there's been an attempt to do that, and efforts are made, but I would be a proponent of having hard KPIs in place so that we're actually making sure that we're measuring along as we go, and we don't get to the end of the year and said we tried. And then the third thing is just making sure that our budget, that we're spending the money properly that we have within the city. We all would like to have taxes, our property taxes lower or at least stay the same. And part of that is making sure that as a city, we are doing the best with the money that we are given. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. Amanda, what would be your top 3 priorities during your term should you be elected?
Thank you. It's a really good question. One of my top 3 priorities is continuing to look at the health and sustainability of our water. Another one is the connectivity and maintenance of our parks and trails. And part of that goes into ensuring that we have a sustainable and a funding mechanism that makes sense. And part of these top 2 priorities, I've been doing a lot of researching, both in the primary literature as well as discussing with city staff the best way where we are right now, some best practices, and where we could be going in the future. And I would intend to continue doing that. The third priority is really just getting a sense of representation and advocacy back on city council. I really do want to represent all of Woodbury. I noticed that I live in northwestern Woodbury, and when I looked at city council meetings, I felt that we have a lot of unique needs and unique perspective being in the older part of Woodbury that is very different than the southern part of Woodbury or where a lot of the development is happening. So we need to make sure that we're intentionally engaging, and that has been part of my work lately is delivering my message to doors, calling people on the phones, asking what they feel their concerns and issues are. In continuing to represent and advocate on the city council, I would ask questions, I would ask hard questions, and I would make sure that we're making some data-driven responses. And if we don't have the data, then we're developing ways to acquire that data so that we're really making some good, solid decision-making.
Thank you, Amanda. Question number 2, and we'll start with Bob. Bob, what do you think are the issues that the city faces in attracting and retaining businesses in Woodbury? And how would you address those issues?
So we actually have done a really good job of attracting a lot of businesses to Woodbury. We have to be almost number 1 in the country as far as having orthopedic surgeons and clinics to go to. And we are also we've got a new spin-off of 3M that's going to be opening up off of Hudson Road that's going to be building. So we're doing a relatively good job of attracting businesses. I think the continuation of that on the small business side is that any ordinances, policies that the city has in place that perhaps, and I know of a few that are just have been around and their legacy. And we need to look at what the practical application of those are and if they're really necessary. I know I just talked to a business the other day that they're struggling because of COVID, and they could get more revenue in if they were able to bring in some pull tabs. And right now, the way the city is, there's only 2 games in town that can do pull tabs. I think we should open that up to other people so that they can have increased revenue, and we'd be able to help out another nonprofit.
Thank you, Bob. Amanda, What do you think are the issues that the city faces in attracting and retaining businesses in Woodbury, and how would you address those issues?
So like Bob mentioned, and actually I asked this question too when I was talking to city staff earlier this year, Woodbury does a really good job attracting businesses. It was communicated to me that really the city doesn't need to advertise themselves as a way to bring businesses in. We are regularly recognized in Money Magazine. We as a good place to live. We're the 8th largest city in the state. We're right along some interstate corridors next to Wisconsin. So we have a really good place for entrepreneurs and businesses to come in. What I am finding, though, is when I talk to people is we are having challenges in recruiting and retaining small businesses that are owned by women and people of color. And I think especially the biggest thing people talk about is food. And food, I've come to realize, is a really great way to bring people together. And it's also a really good way to share culture. So I feel that if we could do a more intentional job to reach out and recruit and incentivize some small business owners that are BIPOC or women-owned, I think that can even more stabilize our small business community and really continue the growth that Woodbury will be having in the future.
Thank you, Amanda. Linda, what do you think are the issues that the city faces in attracting and retaining businesses in Woodbury, and how would you address those issues?
I think one of the biggest issues that we're facing in Woodbury is the high cost of doing business here, the high rent. Another thing too, which is a big problem, is Woodbury has tried so long to be a retail center. And at the same time, the world changed. And then retail changed now. So people are buying things on Amazon now versus going to their local small store. And so that's one thing that's happened is the world changed with retail, and we got caught in that. I have been thinking about this, and I was thinking with small businesses, perhaps there would be a way that certain functions like HR or accounting or healthcare, buying health insurance, somehow we could form some kind of collective way that people can have their HR taken care of by one group of people, so they would somehow share resources. Because all of those resources like HR, accounting, and healthcare are very difficult for small businesses. Another idea that I had was somehow having a community-owned kitchen where people can rent space in the kitchen in order to be able to run their own restaurant, but just actually takeout restaurant, something like that. Another thing that we maybe could try to do is have some kind of city-provided business advisor to share know-how, because I think that there's just a lot of know-how that's lacking, especially with small business owners, and especially with women and minority-owned businesses. They need mentorships and business advisors.
Thank you, Linda. Amanda, question number 3. What steps have you taken to prepare for your role in the city council, and why do those steps make you the best candidate for the role? Please be specific.
Another excellent question. So most recently, like I mentioned, my professional career is a legislative analyst. Again, this gives me an understanding of how to read policy, how to go about changing policy, and then enacting and implementing policy. It's also given me some great lobbying experience, as well as a network of connections at the state capitol to then be able to discuss Woodbury's case should it need state help. I have, like I said, my master's in policy from the Humphrey School of Public Affairs has done a great job giving me some of the educational know-how. I've been watching city council meetings, taking notes. I love to take notes. And then basically giving a reaction video afterwards so that people who aren't necessarily able to watch or attend the city council meetings can then understand what's going on. I've volunteered with previous political campaigns at the city council level so that I have a really good understanding of not only what the position is, but how that work affects them and how they go about pursuing their work. So it was a really cool mentorship opportunity. And then lastly, through my union, I've been on the Government Relations Committee, the Political Council, and the Board of Directors. So again, with those volunteering experiences, I've gotten a a lot of experience and education in knowing about the governance of organizations, how important it is to be representative of your membership or of the city's citizens. And I am very excited to really just get back to representing people, advocating for people, blending all of the unique parts of my personality, education, experience into one package to be effectively moving the city forward.
Thank you, Amanda. Linda, what steps have you taken to prepare for a role on the city council, and why do those steps make you the best candidate for the role? Please be specific.
Thank you for the question. I think that to prepare for city council, I think that you have to learn to put other people before you, and that it's not about me. And so my whole entire life, from being born as an Asian American to being female, to having 2 children, to being married, my whole life has been an experience of thinking about other people. First of all, one of my son has a disability, and so for the past 29 years, I have been doing nothing but taking him to different doctor's appointments and making sure he's okay. And then with my daughter, who's now a prosthetic fabrication specialist, it's dealing with all of the anxieties of childhood, getting her step by step through college and into like school. And then being a wife to a business person that's in charge of 150 jobs. I'm a man that's a general manager. It's taking him to the airport and making sure that he has everything that he needs. So I have found that for my whole entire life, I have learned how to take care of other people. And so, and then from the intellectual side, I do have a BS degree in mechanical engineering, and I do have a JD degree. So I have all the intellectual abilities to unravel pretty much anything that's going to be put in front of me, but I also have spent my life serving. So my intention on city council is to watch over the city as I would watch over people in my family. And there's nobody that's excluded. Everybody in this city is part of my household, and that's the way that I would focus on it.
Thank you, Linda. Bob?
You gonna read the question again?
Sure, absolutely.
Thank you.
What steps have you taken to prepare for the role in the city council, and why do those steps make you the best candidate for the role?
So my experience that I talked a little bit about in my opening statement, but I've been a small business owner for almost 20 years. I went through the 08, 09, I was in construction and in the recession and trying to figure out how we're gonna come up with our next payroll and adjusting budgets, and making sure that we had the ability to still grow and keep people employed and with that company, I had over 100 employees, so we had to make sure we were gonna put food on their table. I had 7 unions that I had to deal with, so it's not easy always dealing with the unions, but I learned to come to compromise. And so that's the business side because every board that I've gotten on, the first thing I do is examine the financials. And I'll be honest with you, every board that I've been on, I've found stuff that has been overlooked for years. And then going from being a owner of a business to now sitting on boards, and I've done that for the last 10 years, and that was tough at first for me not to be the only one to be able to make a decision. And then to learn to work with other people and understand that we're coming from different areas, and my experience is my experience, but the other person's experience counts just as much, and to, again, have the ability to come to a compromise and to a reasonable solution. And then my business right now, I work with people of all walks of life. And so I get to hear what their experiences are, and I can bring that to the table. So I think the breadth of everything that I've done makes me a very viable city council member. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. We'll move on now to closing statements. Amanda?
Okay. Well, first of all, I would just like to thank you, Mr. Young, for moderating. I'd also like to thank Lori Steiger and the Woodbury Area Chamber of Commerce for hosting this. I'd like to thank the city for allowing us to be in this space. Thank you to South Washington County Telecommunications Commission for spreading this out to the people so they can have a look. And thank you too to everybody watching for taking the time to hear us and listen to us and be great informed voters. I'm an empathetic, detail-oriented, and accountable person. I've been reaching out to neighbors. I've been meeting with city staff, so I am fully ready and prepared to step into this role. I take a comprehensive look from all angles and solicit input and feedback before I make a decision. My analytical thinking, paired with my policy, education, and experience, allows understanding of impacts of policy and how best to implement them, including potential trade-offs. And then I know how to communicate that to the public. I want to ensure that our water is healthy and safe, our parks and trails are connected and maintained, and that you feel represented on City Council. I hope to earn your vote by November 3rd. Early mail-in and in-person voting has already started, and I would love to hear from you. I'm on Facebook, Amanda Hemmingson-Yeager for City Council, and my website is amandaforwoodbury.com. So, thank you.
Thank you, Amanda. Linda?
This is my first time ever running for any kind of elected office, and it's been a wonderful experience. I also have to say that I have been impressed with the 7 other candidates that are running for Woodbury City Council, and I believe that each one of these people is qualified to be on the Woodbury City Council and would do a fantastic job. I firmly believe that. I consider myself to be a bridge person, an Asian American, not black, not white, but somewhere in the middle, and I feel like I can empathize with a lot of the social justice things that are happening and a lot of back and forth. I'm also the mother of a child with disabilities, and I know what that means. I know what the role of a caregiver is. I know the 24/7 responsibility of being a caregiver. I'm also a highly educated person. I have a bachelor's degree in mechanical engineering and a JD degree, and I am a licensed patent attorney. So I have the intellectual acuity to handle anything that's put before me by City Council. I'm also married for 30 years, and I just feel that this is for me something that I can do well. I have pretty much was going to take this as a full-time job. I wasn't going to take this as a part-time job. I was going to take this as a full-time job and really put my energy into it. So I'm just asking for your vote for City Council. Thank you.
Thank you, Linda. Bob?
Thank you. So first off, I want to thank all the people that Amanda thanked, because she did a really good job, and then also Amanda and Linda for today. In my years of being involved in the community, coaching, volunteering, and talking about the challenges that we face, I know the people of Woodbury have the same goals. We want to feel safe in our community and our homes. We want our children to have a good education and fun activities to be involved in. We want an opportunity to have a good job so we can afford to take care of our family, save money for our children's education, put away something for retirement. We just have different ideas on the path to get there. I've always been able to find the common ground between differing sides, and I will bring that to the City Council. I am confident that by focusing on our commonalities, which far outnumber our differences, Woodbury will continue to be the best place to live in the country. I have been humbled and inspired by the outpouring of support I have received. The parents of the kids I coach, my clients, and my fellow volunteer board members have been the most vocal supporters. The people that know me the best, the people that trust me with their children and have worked side by side with me also know that I will excel at representing all the people of Woodbury. I feel strongly that I am the right person to be part of the leadership of Woodbury and would be proud to earn your vote. Thank you.
Thank you all. That will conclude the City Council candidate forum today. I'd like to thank all of you for coming, and best of luck to you in November.
Thank you very much.
Okay.